I woke up early that morning, not because of an alarm, but because of the sound of birds outside the window. The air felt cool, and the light coming into the room was soft and pale. I slowly opened my eyes and remembered where I was. I was at my grandmother's house. Her house always feels different from my own place. It feels quieter, slower, and calmer. I lay in bed for a moment, listening. No traffic, no phone sounds, just birds and wind. I stepped out of bed and my feet touched the cold ceramic floor. The cold made me fully awake. I walked slowly through the hallway. The walls were light green and the house smelled clean and familiar. I could hear soft sounds from the kitchen. Someone was already awake. I moved carefully, not wanting to break the calm of the morning. My grandmother was sitting near the kitchen, peeling vegetables. Her movements were slow and careful. When she saw me, she smiled gently. My grandmother said, "You woke up early today." I said, "Yes, the birds woke me up." She laughed softly and said, "They always do." Her voice was calm, like the morning itself. I sat down on the floor near the kitchen wall. For a few minutes, we did not talk. She kept working, and I just watched her hands. There was no rush, no pressure to speak. The kitchen smelled like garlic and warm rice. I noticed how peaceful the silence felt. In the city, silence feels empty. Here, it felt full. After a while, my grandmother asked, "Are you hungry?" I said, "A little." She nodded and said, "Breakfast will be ready soon." She stood up and turned on the stove. The sound of the gas lighting filled the room. Oil touched the pan and made a soft sound. I watched the steam rise slowly. It felt like the house was waking up together with us. While waiting, I took my phone out of my pocket. I looked at the screen for a second, then put it back. It did not feel important. My grandmother noticed and said, "You don't use your phone much here." I smiled and said, "I don't feel like I need it." She nodded, as if that answer made sense to her. I walked outside to the yard. The grass was still wet from the night, and the air smelled fresh. A rooster crowed far away. I stood near a small tree and remembered climbing it when I was a child. Back then, it felt tall. Now it looked smaller. I smiled quietly, thinking about how time changes everything. My grandmother called from inside. "Come in, breakfast is ready." I went back and sat at the small dining table. She placed a plate of rice and vegetables in front of me. We ate together. The food was simple but warm and comforting. We did not talk much at first. Sometimes eating quietly feels better than talking. After a few bites, my grandmother asked, "How is your work these days?" I paused, then said, "It's okay. Sometimes it feels tiring." She asked, "Too busy?" I nodded and said, "Yes, I feel like I'm always in a hurry." She listened carefully and then said, "You don't have to hurry all the time." Her words were simple, but they stayed with me. After breakfast, my grandmother started washing the dishes. I stood up and said, "Let me help you." She smiled and said, "All right." We stood side by side. She washed and I dried the plates. The water flowed gently. We worked quietly, sharing the space without many words. It felt natural, like something we had done many times before. Later, I sat on the front steps of the house. The sun was higher now. Neighbors passed by and greeted my grandmother. She greeted them back, asking small questions. I watched everything quietly. When I was younger, I thought this place was boring. Now it felt full. not full of activities, but full of calm moments. In the afternoon, I packed my bag slowly. My grandmother stood by the door. She said, "Take care." I said, "I will." As I walked away, I looked back at the house one last time. It was still quiet, still peaceful. I knew this morning would stay with me, not as a lesson, but as a gentle reminder to slow down sometimes. That's the story for today. And if you enjoy listening to slow English stories like this, you can subscribe to this channel so you won't miss the next story. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode of Chill English Dose.